Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there this morning and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new week out there so far. It's going to be a very active week with tracking the weather, specifically the tropics, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about in this morning's video. Tropical Storm Dexter did form overnight. It's heading way out into the Atlantic. It's doing so right now. So we're not going to speak much on that. The next name is Aaron with an E. There's multiple other areas we need to watch also that have a chance at development. We're going to break all that down, compare model guidance, geek out with you guys a little bit, discuss the environment. I do want to say right off the dot, tropicaltidbits.com is down. I use that site a lot, so the flow of the video might be a little bit different, but you're still going to get a ton of information and the same information, just different graphics. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. And then stay tuned for the very end of the video if you want to join us for a Bible devotion. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. Let's make sure it's going to work for us. And it is, so we're good to go. A couple things will circle on your screen here as usual. This is the way we normally start off, just looking at, a broad look at the Atlantic. We have Tropical Storm Dexter right here, and this is just going to continue to head off in this direction. It is I believe a 45 mile per hour tropical storm with us this morning, but it's not going to bother anybody except, the fish out in the ocean. No offense to you guys, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot to circle right at this moment on your screen. This is one of the areas we're going to watch for later this week for tropical development. And then a lot of attention, especially once we move past this, is going to go way out here in what we call the tropical Atlantic or the MDR, main development region. There's a wave that's going to emerge into the eastern Atlantic. This area I'm circling right here. Sometime later today it's going to emerge off Africa, and then it's probably going to have a shot to develop somewhere in this region. Now, where does it go? If it develops, where does it go just in general? Is it going to dramatically turn out to sea? Is it going to continue to sort of kind of go this way? We got a lot to figure out, and a lot of people want to assume that this is definitely just going to turn out to sea, but I would not assume that. We're going to speak on why as we get deeper into this video. So this is everything right now. There's, like I said, besides Tropical Storm Dexter, there's not a whole lot to circle. So just speaking a little bit on Tropical Storm Dexter, we don't want to completely ignore this because it did take a name. And I think this thing was a tropical storm yesterday afternoon, honestly, but they did finally name it. 45 mile per hour storm. It is forecast to intensify another 5 miles per hour to a 50 mile per hour tropical storm, but it'll warm into just some cooler waters and begin to weaken and become post-tropical. But we do need to watch Europe. I don't cover Europe, but this could bring impacts to you guys, so be aware of that. But even when these things lose their tropical characteristics, even though this will just be way out in the North Atlantic, they can still pack one heck of a punch. We see that in the U.S. almost every single hurricane season, especially late in hurricane season. Sandy is a great example of that. But let's move past that. What about these other areas? That's Dexter. We'll speak on this first, and because that's closer to us. This is much further away, and I'll put my cursor over that. We have a 30% chance in this yellow area of tropical development sometime in the next 7 days. And really, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen sometime basically between now and the weekend. And when we say a percent chance of development, we mean into a tropical depression or a named storm, a tropical storm. So like I said, the next name is Aaron with an E. So that would be the next name. Is this going to take that name? We're not sure. We got a lot to figure out, but it did get bumped up from a 20 to a 30% chance of development from last night's update that I did to this morning's update. So it has increased. So that's one area we're watching. The next area is this region out here. A tropical wave is going to come off Africa, like I just mentioned, and then emerge over the Atlantic, and then this wave will have a shot to develop in this orange area. A 50% chance to develop into a depression or a named storm within the next 7 days. Now, I know this thing does look like it's curving out to sea, and there's a chance it could. But it also is down into this area. Let's just draw on this a little bit. Okay, it looks like it's going out to sea, right? But, there is an area right into here also. So it's kind of keeping the door open that this could cruise a little bit further to the west instead of just abruptly turn out to sea. And I'm going to compare model guidance here in a second and show you what I mean with this. Now, Behind this, now we don't have an area intercept for this. I think there's another wave we'll be tracking behind this one, but we need to figure out what's right in front of us first. So let's move past this. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, guys, and this is what I mean. Tropical Tidbits is down, so we got to look at Weather Bell. It's a great site, but I think that this is a better site to use for winter than the Tropics, in my personal opinion. And unfortunately, it is much harder to make these graphics larger on the screen. But you know, my videos do show up in 1440. They show up better than 1080. So make sure that you're not just watching this on 720. You can upgrade the resolution to this video even higher than 1080, and you'll be able to see these graphics much better. So I always just want to say that. But let's look at the Euro first. What we're looking at here is 850 millibar energy. So this is, you convert that to feet. It's about 4,000 to 6,000 feet up in the air above the ocean in this case. And this is where we kind of look for energy when we can't see it very well off the precipitation output. So I want to put your eyes on this right here. This is our little vort. And this is for, don't focus so much on Zulu time, just a WED. That's Wednesday, here in the next couple days, August the 6th. So I'm going to put this in motion. You can see it spinning a little bit, quite literally. And we get into Friday, and then we get into Friday night, and we get into Saturday. And this energy goes into the Carolina coastline. Now, where you see this energy isn't necessarily where the precipitation is. Remember that. And I'll always reiterate that through hurricane season. But it does show a low-level feature, some sort of tropical energy getting pushed up against the southeast coastline. So Euro shows it. What about the GFS? And by the way, what's causing this is just a continued stalled frontal boundary that's just going to linger over and off the coast of the southeast. And when you have some sort of boundary, that causes a lot of lift in the atmosphere. And this lift, it generates convection, shower, and storm activity. And if you get that happening over the open waters in August, they're warm, it's well into the 80s, you could suddenly get some sort of tropical system that could develop, and it develops tropical characteristics, and all of a sudden we have a tropical storm, just like what happened with Chantal and what happened with Dexter overnight. So what about the GFS? All right, let's see if we can get the updated information. I'm trying to get the morning GFS, doing this video a little bit early, but I do think we'll have enough of it here. So we'll start off same time, 48 hours from now, Wednesday morning. Time frame's up here. If I forget to mention it, we get into Thursday, same thing, a little spin right there. You see it? It's a little bit stronger. You see more of the vibrant colors like the yellows, the orange, and reds. It's probably a little bit of a stronger low-level feature here. And this just spins its way into the South Carolina coastline. By Sunday morning, so we could be tracking this for the next 4 to 6 days, it moves into the South Carolina coastline and spins its way through the Carolinas. So, you know, just kind of a better way to look at this. That's why I like Tropical Tidbits. It shows just a better view of this. Here it comes, and it moves over the Carolinas. Now, what does this mean as far as precipitation? I'll show you that here in a second. But you look at the Euro as far as precipitation, okay? Regardless if something tropical develops or not, even before this potentially hits the southeast, it's just going to be a rainy pattern this week. This is Wednesday. Just think of the greens and the blues and just the colors on your screen outside of white as rainfall potential. And this is the latest Euro. We get into Thursday, we get into Friday, a lot of shower and storm activity across the southeast. And then we get this big plume of tropical moisture from what could potentially be a tropical system. And then this kind of enforces all that moisture already in place across the Carolinas and just the southeast in general. And it's just not a whole lot to show you there. It looks like just blobs of color. That's why I showed you the low-level vort first. But definitely could be influenced by tropical moisture from our system. But, you know, we look at the GFS, same thing. Let's update this. And we start Wednesday morning. We get into Thursday. Now, remember, the GFS showed a stronger low-level feature. Will it show a better representation of precipitation? Let's see. So we get into Friday. Here it is. That's a lot of tropical moisture right here. Probably some sort of weak tropical system. And then we get into Saturday, and then we get into Sunday. And what it looks like is around, it looks like around a 10-15 millibar low. Let's see if I'm right here. Heck, it's so weak that it doesn't even really show up here. But there is a little weak low pressure right here, probably, like I said, 10-16, 10-15 millibar low. That's a weak low pressure. But there's definitely something there. And listen, I'm about to talk to you about why I think models are going to struggle with this. If we get any kind of energy, low-level energy that develops out here off the coast of the southeast for a multi-day period, it is absolutely going to have a shot to become tropical storm Aaron. I do. I think it will. But if there's a lot of moisture, it's just going to be a wet week regardless. And I'm about to show you how much rainfall like the Euro Ensemble is predicting. Speaking of the Euro Ensemble, remember this makes up 51 members. You're going to see multiple L's pop up on your screen. This output shows you all the L's, low pressure, that do form on this ensemble mean. So just don't look at this and think there's multiple low pressures out here. There could be multiple areas of lower pressure. But anyways, we continue to move this forward and we get into Friday. You see all these lows. I mean, we even got some down here in the northern Bahamas. We got a lot, though, in this area. And, I mean, you got about 20-ish members out there that form a low pressure. But you see some of them, like this one's like 1,000 millibar low. That's probably a tropical storm. We got a 998 down here. We got a 983 right in here. I mean, that's almost a Category 1 hurricane, if not one. And, you know, there's just a lot of scattered low pressures out here. So there's just a signal for a low pressure. Take this as that there is a signal for a low pressure developing off the coast of the southeast sometime between now and the weekend. And we move forward here. And I do want to show you the potential, just a broader look at things, at how there is a potential, and the Euro doesn't show it, but I do think there is a chance that something could form here and maybe kind of scoot out this way. Most model guides right now has it just kind of going this way, but I would say just be on alert of this if you do live up the East Coast. So just kind of wanted to show you that really quick. Now, I do think that this has a shot to develop, and the reason being is, one, you got some really warm sea surface temperatures off the coast of the southeast. Now, I typically look at tropical tidbits with this, but cyclonicweather.com, which, by the way, free site, is awesome too. So you see these colors here, like this purple color. I mean, this is sea surface temperatures getting to 30, 31, close to 32 degrees Celsius. And then just the reds right in here, I mean, that's 29, 30 degrees Celsius. You're like, Mitch, man, I don't do Celsius. Well, Celsius to Fahrenheit, that would, you know, be equivalent to temperatures, sea surface temperature wise, in the mid, even some cases upper 80s. There's some probably areas over the Gulf Stream that are around 90 degrees. And of course, the Gulf is like a bathtub right now, like a hot tub, not even comfortable to swim in right now. And there's some areas in the Bahamas that sea surface temperatures are near 90. So, I mean, it's plenty warm in this area. And, you know, if we look, I thought I had a graphic pulled up for this. I'm going to do it on the fly. So excuse the unprofessional move right here if you can. But we do look, cool, we're moving through this pretty smoothly. If we look at the upper wind pattern in this region, let's look at this. And let's just look at the Euro. In fact, let's do this. I think this will be a little bit better. Yeah. So if you look at the Euro doesn't have much of a low forming, but there is something here. So if there's going to be some sort of low pressure that forms, it's going to happen probably right here in this region. Okay, let's see if this matches up well with that low level vort. Yeah, so there's our low level energy, and we go back to the wind speeds here in the upper levels. This is wind speeds at 200 millibars. I mean, folks, like 35, 40,000 feet up in the air. So the reason I'm looking at this, because this is on top of the storm system. Are we getting any kind of air pushing out away from the system? This helps these systems. When air gets pushed out away from the low, mid levels of the system, it allows for more air to rise. And then when it gets to that upper level, if air is being dispersed outward, it pushes that air away, more air rises. And, you know, in a way, we call that divergence aloft. And sometimes you can get these anticyclones on top of the cyclonic cyclone itself. And this just, we call it a ULAC, an upper level anticyclone. And when that happens, these systems are ventilating well. So to talk about this area, that's around where our low pressure could be. You know, if you look really closely, you'll see these lines of the arrowheads embedded into them. Air is being dispersed out away from the system. Like right into here, a dramatic push of air. Even down here. Now, right in here, it dramatically kind of goes like that. So maybe a little more wind shear on the eastern side of the system. But this is another reason this thing is not chilling. It's very warm over very warm waters off the coast of southeast. The wind flow aloft is being pushed out away from the system. I really think if this thing hangs out for a multi-day period off the coast of the southeast, I don't care what model guidance shows, you're going to have a chance at least a tropical storm, just like with Chantal. So definitely what I would think would be a favorable upper wind pattern in this case. You combine that with really warm sea surface temperatures, you're going to have something tricky on our hands later this week into this weekend. So regardless, a lot of rainfall. This is the Euro ensemble between now and the next week. Multiple inches of rain. I mean, we in my house yesterday, we got almost 2 inches of rain, and we only forecasted a little bit of rain. So it's a tricky weather pattern. Give your local meteorologist some grace with just a combination of cold air damming in place, and just temperatures are weird. It's a nice, cool week this week, but you're going to have to deal with the rain too, and I'm cool with that. I know some others are like, man, I don't want the rain, but regardless, soggy week ahead. So now let's move our focus to way out here in the tropical Atlantic. So we're going to start off with ensemble guidance. So we'll start off Friday morning. Same thing that I just showed you just a second ago. On this particular output off weathernerds.com, by the way, free site, a little weird to use, but it is phenomenal. It's going to throw a lot of L's on your screen, and there's so many here and kind of combined in one area that they're kind of jumbled up. But this is a strong signal for that wave that has a 50% chance to develop coming off Africa, developing in the central Atlantic. So I'm going to get this in motion. So we're going to take it into the weekend. You see all those members dancing around from our system potential that we just discussed off the southeast. Ignore that. Ignore this too, because this is Dexter. But we continue to move forward here. The next name after Aaron is Fernand, I believe. So there could be a fight to take both of those names. There's a chance that neither one of them take the name. But this is a strong signal for a low pressure developing here. And some of these members are strong. It's hard to see them, but they're definitely well over a sub-1,000 millibar low, which would make it a named storm, a tropical storm. But one thing I'm already noticing is some of these members now, compared to yesterday's Euro ensemble run, you see these members here? They're trying to drift further to the west. A lot of the members going north, but you got some members trying to drift further to the west now. Almost every single member yesterday had this thing turn out to sea. And I'm going to show you the GFS ensemble. If you've been tuning in for the last couple of days, you know that the GFS with this wave has been favoring moving just more east to west. So two things going on here. We got this, and then we got another signal for another wave behind it. This is a week from this morning, next Monday. So this still, majority of the members go out to sea, but then there's another signal for a wave behind it that has many members. But they're definitely spread out. So, yeah, let's continue. GFS ensemble, remember this makes up 21 members, so you're not going to see as many L's on your screen, more than likely. And same thing, we continue and we get into this weekend, we get into Sunday morning. This is starting to head northwest, definitely a recurving look. But on the GFS and its ensembles, this being the ensemble, it takes a lot of its members. Remember, you're not going to see as many L's, 21 members, but it takes a lot of these members and gets them closer to the Caribbean islands, the Bahamas, and just starting to, a couple of those members heading right towards the southeast coastline. Not trying to freak anybody out. I'm just saying, let's not assume this is going to turn out to sea. I mean, it's clearly that the members that do stay south here are pretty strong. At least strong at some point. And then we continue. Does it show the wave behind it? The signal for the wave behind it, not quite as strong. But there is definitely some members forming. And I'm going to stop it right there. I will take a little peek at 336 hours out, but it just shows, it shows what looks like there's going to be an active period of tropical activity. Okay, so now this is when we kind of have to look at pivotal weather instead of weather bell or tropical tidbits, because tropical tidbits is down. So a little bit different, but it still is it's honestly just as good as tropical tidbits. It's just can be tedious kind of moving the panels here. But this is closer to Africa than the Caribbean and the U.S. So this is our wave developing. This is getting into Thursday morning. That's Africa, by the way. So our wave has moved out into the central Atlantic. On the Euro, it just takes this, does not have it that strong, tries to strengthen this up here, but it takes that wave and moves it up here. Okay, and this is getting into Sunday morning, and then here comes another wave that's taking more of that southerly track that we don't like to see, and this is getting into next Sunday evening, or you can say this Sunday evening now, and we got a low pressure cruising down here, and we get into about day 10. There's another wave right here, big chunk of moisture. Just think of these greens and yellows and oranges as tropical moisture and storm activity, and another wave behind that one also. So let's go on and switch gears and look a little bit closer. So what does it do with that first tropical wave that has a 50% chance to develop? Well, that's it right there. It doesn't look like much of anything, does it? So we keep moving here. If it would move a little bit faster for us, and we get into Saturday, we get into Sunday, and that system does begin to strengthen somewhat. It just still looks like a blob of shower and storm activity. Regardless on the Euro, it really takes this and just gets it way up into the North Atlantic. Okay, but we get a week out. We get into about the 7 to 10 day range. There is a wave. It's kind of close to my face right there. It's showing up now, and we get to about 10 days out, and there is a wave right here, weaker low pressure, but it begins to strengthen. And we do get into that unreliable time frame past 10 days. But the Euro likes the wave after the one that is an area of interest right now. And it takes it into the Eastern Caribbean, strengthens it into a tropical storm, brings impacts to the Greater Antilles, actually makes a landfall. And, even if we were to keep looking at this, here it is on your screen. And even though I like to share model guidance here, but I like to add context. I'm just showing you this because it really likes the wave behind the one that is dubbed an area of interest, and it strengthens this into a strong hurricane as it gets south of Cuba. And of course, once these hurricanes get into this area this time of the year, they're going to hit somebody. That's just inevitable. There's not much to weaken these, even if you do have a somewhat unfavorable upper wind pattern. But in general, we shouldn't freak out about that, because this is all the way out to August 18th and 360 hours out. What about the latest GFS, which, by the way, we got out to about 10 days, so that's good. Now we're going to switch gears and bring it right back out to the Eastern Atlantic. What does it do with our area of interest wave? Well, there it is, cruising 1010 millibar low, weak low pressure, okay? And we get all the way to about Saturday morning. There it is, gaining some latitude. We switch it to this. It's going to show up on your screen. We got to skip the Saturday, and then we get into Sunday. It just does not want this to turn north like what the Euro is showing. It just cruises further south. And I'm going to talk about why here in a second. But there's definitely a difference in the steering current pattern between the Euro and its ensemble and the GFS and its ensemble. The GFS really likes the idea of this thing cruising further south. Further south it gets, the more it's going to threaten somebody. So, of course, we start to get into, say, about a week from today, we keep this going. I mean, we got a 998 millibar low. And once it gets into this part of the Atlantic, folks, it's going to have a chance to really do something. Because I'm telling you, and I talked a lot on this, the video did not get a whole lot of, it didn't get out there very well at all. But if you didn't tune in to last night's video, I talked about how this area of the Atlantic here, and this is Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, by the way, I really think this is going to be a hot spot this hurricane season. But, we kind of get between the day 7 and day 10 time frame, and, we're starting to get closer to day 10. I mean, this is all the way to the morning of August 13th. So this is way out there. We have close to a major hurricane that is getting way too close for comfort. And it's a major hurricane at this point. We stop it right here. And we can stop it here now. 950 millibar low. That is a Category 3 hurricane, and it is creeping very close to the southeast coastline. And the GFS has liked the idea of this for quite some time now. It does not want to do the recurve like the Euro. It's liking the idea of this. And the model last night showed a landfalling hurricane to Florida. The model yesterday evening showed one going into the southeast, I believe. So it's a model war right now. As far as anything after that, let's flip it at this. Does it show anything in the Gulf after this? And let's just go on and skip it right to hour 240. It doesn't. And this is as far out as we can go, and this is as far out as we really need to go. So, you wrap this video up. We're talking about the environmental background. This is the part that I like to look at tropical tidbits with, but it's down, so we only can look at this. And it's not a shot at the guy that runs that. Levi's phenomenal, and it's a site that's free to the public, and I feel so bad for him. He's been having issues all summer, and it stinks that things are ramping up, and he continues to have issues. That's why it's good to just donate money to these people. I do it. I try to do it a few times a year to just give us these sites for free. But anyways, getting off track here. Once again, we're looking at the 200 millibar flow. So flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and you're going to see slashes of blue and even green and even these yellows and orange and reds. This is where the winds in the upper levels are going very fast. And just to kind of make this easier for you guys to understand, just the more colors you see on your screen, the faster the flow in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So sometimes that creates a lot of wind shear. So if I continue to move this forward and we're looking at just the Euro operational run, you're not seeing a lot of colors down here in the MDR. You're not seeing a lot down here in the Caribbean, the Southwest Atlantic, the Gulf. So there's not a lot of raging winds aloft. There's light flow aloft, and that basically creates a more favorable upper wind pattern for these systems. If there's not a changing of directions in the winds the further up you get, we call that directional shear, and you're not seeing that much. The thing that's been holding things back is just the fact that it's been June and July, but, excuse me, I lost my voice, is the dry air in the Atlantic Basin. It has really been holding these systems back, but we got a favorable MJO pulse that's moving into the area, rising air. You just get the feeling that things are about to get very unsettled. Now I'm going to see if let's see if Tropical Tidbits is back up. No, it's not. So I was going to try to get away with showing that. Now the difference between, you might ask, and I'm going to try to do this on the fly here. You might ask, well, Mitch, why does the Euro show what it shows, and why does the GFS get that area of interest out here in the Atlantic closer? Well, it all has to do with the fact that there's just a lack of a blocking high. So you see these warmer colors on your screen. This is just high pressure. The blue colors are low pressure. So you're not getting a huge, that's where we drew earlier, we're not getting a huge high pressure over the Atlantic on the Euro that's going to just make these kind of follow and round the base, the southern areas of this high pressure, and then make this go right into some sort of landmass, whether that's the Caribbean or the U.S. And instead, you're getting kind of a broken up ridge. You got some ridging right here, and you got just kind of a rupture in the ridge right here. That's a weakness for these systems to go. So on the Euro particularly here, you don't really have a strong storm system to really look at. So I would say that our low, man, it is very hard to see. Our low is actually, the low is so weak on the Euro that I'm going to have to actually figure out where it's at. So it's right here. So if you look at this little piece of energy right here, that is our tropical wave that has that 50% chance to develop. And you see how that little area right here, don't ignore this. I know your eyes want to go to that. That's Dexter. But this little area right here that eventually does develop begins to slip to the north because it finds that weakness. So if we stop it right here, keep your eyes right here. I know it's small. Right here. Okay, now let's look at that 500 millibar height chart. Weakness for that low to do that. It's kind of rounding around this ridge right here, and there's just a weakness for a little low pressure to turn out to sea. It's kind of going between this ridge and then this white area. That's a weakness in the flow. So it's also probably getting tugged north by an upper level low feature. Now what about, let's back this up. What about the GFS? Why does the GFS show? I mean, there's a clear, like for example, at this point right here, the low is like right into here, right? It's so weak that it doesn't even show up in blue. I mean, there's a clear weakness right into here, and this weakness gets even more notable as you move forward. I mean, there is like literally like an upper level low or a cutoff low right here, and our low pressure that could be right into here on the Euro is just going to sniff that out and immediately go this way. Okay, now I'll stop it here. It's for this coming Thursday. Let's look at the latest GFS. There's a weakness here too. So what's the difference? Well, there's not much of a difference. It's very small. The only thing that I can tell you what happens here is the weakness, the gap closes up fast. I want you to watch how these yellows and oranges sort of build on top of this. There's still weakness right here, like even right in here, little upper trough, little dip. But there is just, the system is weak enough at this point where it's still going to be carried somewhat by the lower to mid-level currents. And it eventually the ridge, even though it's light, it builds on top of the system. So the further west this gets, the more bad news that is. Because once it gets right here, what's interesting here is, it's the 06 GFS. Once it gets right here, it gets very strong. A stronger low pressure is going to want to always fight to gain more latitude. It's going to fight against that ridge with everything it has. So it gets so strong right here, and there is a clear breaking of our ridge right here. Some sort of upper trough pulling through, lower pressure, and then this thing is probably going to try to begin to jet north. Now, what's alarming on this run is it looks like it has a clear avenue to go north here. And I'm dissecting this like this is exactly what's going to happen. This is more of an educational thing here. Okay? I know it's 10 days out. It's more of a, hey, figuring out how these steering currents work. Once it gets right here, it's like, okay, well, this can turn north, and then the ridge builds right back on top of it at the final frame of this run. Like, not this Friday morning, but next Friday morning. A ridge builds right on top of that. That is going to push it closer. And man, that is a strong low pressure, guys. Let's hope that this does not happen. That is a, sheesh, that's a 942 millibar low. Oh, so you're going to see those. And I'm going to wrap this video up with this. You're going to see some crazy stuff posted over social media. Guys, just be careful what you believe. It's up to the person. It's up to the person giving the information, sure, to be responsible. But you cannot rely on somebody else's actions, right? But it's also up to you as the individual to make sure you get your information from someone you trust. If it's not me, hey, that's cool. No hard feelings at all, right? But don't be gullible on your end either. Don't believe everything you see. Some people want to believe the worst case scenario. There's people like that out there, guys. They want to believe that the worst thing is going to happen, and they'll try to pretend like they don't want it to happen. And you're like, man, what are you talking about? It is a thing, I promise you. And then there's people on the other opposite end of that just don't think anything bad's going to happen at all, and they downplay everything. You got to find the middle ground. Keep the options open. Don't overblow both ends. I'm shaking my computer here. I hope that makes sense here. So let's create a timestamp. And like I said, I made a community post about this. And you're thinking, man, where's my daily forecast? Tropical Tidbits was down. And first day of school with my kids. And we are certainly just running low on time. So we'll get it back going tomorrow, guys. But I will always fit this Bible devotion in. So this morning we're in Matthew chapter 6, and we're verse 1 through 4. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward with your Father in heaven. So whenever you give to the poor, don't sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do. And the man, always trip up this word, guys. Always. Let's see.
Synagogues.
The synagogues. Let's see.
Synagogues.
The synagogues. Okay? Doing the singing. Okay, I'm not even going to try it again. I just go to Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. I definitely struggle with that word every time I run across it in the Bible and on the streets, to be applauded by people. Truly, I tell you, they have their reward, but when you give to the poor, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees it in secret will reward you. So I got a lot to say about this one, but I'm going to try to wrap it up without getting too crazy here. So I said, do good without needing validation. God sees our true motives. Make the focus on glorifying God, not yourself. You will be blessed for it. So validation is huge in today's world. We got social media. Everybody wants a pat in the back, including me. I'm not exempt from that. Listen, everybody loves a pat on the back. Everybody loves someone to tell you good job. And listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't want that. It's natural for a human to want that. But Well, where I really want to set an example here is, for example, you give, and it mentions this, giving to the poor. You see, sadly, a homeless person on the side of the road, and you feel just emotion, just a calling to really give maybe $20 to that person. You give it to them, and then you feel the need to go home and tell your entire family what you did. You feel the need to tell all your friends what you did, and you want to put it on social media. That's when it gets a little out of hand. Tell your family. I mean, I don't see anything bad in that. But you just do good things without having to tell everybody. The person who really, really needs to see it will see it. And trust me, I say this a lot in these Bible devotions. I really believe that someone is always watching you, and I live my life by that. When I do something, it's not that I want somebody to see that I'm doing good, but my driver behind it is I want to set a great example for a follower of Christ. It's not that, hey, I want that person to see, man, I put my card up where I was supposed to at the grocery store. I hope someone just saw me give this homeless person $20 and this, that, and the other. No, I do it because, I kind of want them to see it, but I want them to see it for a different reason. I want to say, hey, man, that person's a good person. And then maybe they find out, maybe that person kind of knows me and they find out that, hey, I'm a follower of Christ and I'm setting a good example as a follower of Christ. And maybe that gives that person the motivation to, maybe it plants a seed. God's always going to find ways to plant seeds in certain situations. So, validation is huge. We all want that pat on the back. We all want someone to blow smoke up our rear end. Even with what I do on the weather, it's hard to not get wrapped up into that sometimes. But you got to stay humble. You got to stay true to who you are. Do those good things that God calls you to do without needing everybody to tell you good job. Okay? I'm telling you, you will definitely get something good out of it regardless. God's going to bless you, and someone is always watching. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You don't need to tell everybody. So hope that makes sense, guys. I love you folks. I appreciate the support lately, and I'm going to try to do a video this evening, but I might not have it. I don't want to guarantee those evening videos yet. I was very surprised on one this morning. Last night did not get out there as much as it did, but it is what it is. We'll keep it rolling, and I love what I do, and we're going to keep it going. So God bless all y'all. We'll talk again soon. Have a wonderful start to your week. God bless.